Hi, I'm Marilyn Gemmis, and I, along with Eleni Gugliotta and Joanne Stavrakis from the National Philoptochos Board, developed this video on vaping. We begin with Sophia, who will be presenting many firsthand experiences and insights from teenagers and young adults about vaping. Following Sophia, Dr. Katina Nicolacakis will present the facts on vaping and the effects it can have on your health. We hope that you find this information helpful, and we hope that you will make the decision to not partake.
Hi, I'm Sophia Gugliotta, and I will be presenting a case study on vaping in which I asked 16 people from the ages of 11 to 28 7 questions about their experiences and opinions on vaping. Question 1 is, what is your experience with vaping? This 16-year-old says, guys on the football team vape after practice. Older teammates bring it to practice and will share after practice is over. This 20-year-old says, I vaped in high school, mostly because everybody else was doing it and the dangers of it were not yet fully known. This 13-year-old says, my baseball team tried it when a friend's brother had it after our game. The guys made fun of me because it made me cough. This 23-year-old says, people use it at parties, friends always pushing me to try just a puff. Eventually, I tried it, and it's a good thing I did not like it. I felt sick after using it. Question 2, have you ever felt peer pressured to vape? This 13-year-old says, each time I vape, there is peer pressure. It's because they look down on you if you don't. This 11-year-old says, I thought it was cool because the older guys did it. This 22-year-old says, that's how I started, with my friends all pushing me to try it. This 17-year-old says, yes, you have to try it or else they will ask and tease you until you do. Question 3, what is your advice on how to overcome peer pressure? This 19-year-old says, just be nonchalant about it. If people get offended, that's their problem, not yours. This 13-year-old says, it's nearly impossible to say no because all the guys make fun of you. I guess stop being around people who vape. This 22-year-old says, don't try it because it can be hard to stop. It's not realistic that someone will listen to you if you tell them not to. Most people will try it like I did. And lastly, this 25-year-old says, don't hang around with those that vape. Good advice. Question 4, is vaping a widespread issue in high school?
I think it is. I definitely know what happens, but I just don't choose to do that. I honestly do. You hear about it in a lot of cases where kids are in the bathroom doing it, but I believe in most high schools, like, kids are smart enough not to do it because they know it affects their bodies, so I don't really think it's a big issue.
This 16-year-old says, yes, at least for guys. I see it almost every day somewhere at school. This 20-year-old says, the toxic atmosphere of high school is the perfect place to develop bad habits to fit in. This 22-year-old says, nowadays, even middle school kids think it's cool. Lastly, this 17-year-old says, I know plenty of girls who vape. Question 5, does the issue persist past high school?
I think if you have an addiction from the start of high school, it could lead on, but peer pressuring later on, no, not really. Again, it's an addiction, so if you start early, it's going to carry on. So in my opinion, yes, I think it persists past high school.
This 22-year-old says, someone that is really enjoying it will continue past high school, but most of my friends have stopped. This 23-year-old says, in my age group, it did. My younger sister did not have the same pressure from friends as I did. This 25-year-old says, most of my friends don't vape anymore, and I don't either. This 28-year-old says, I think it did, but in the past few years, less and less friends vape. Question 6, advice for those who have already gotten involved with vaping?
Just stop. Like, it's not good for you, and you're probably spending a lot of money on it. Quit. Again, it's not worth it. Like, it's gonna cut your life short. It's gonna affect your lungs, and you don't want to live with that with the rest of your life.
The 17-year-old says, more information has come out about it being unhealthy, so I tell them to reconsider. This 23-year-old says, check out all the negative findings about your lungs being attacked from vaping. This 28-year-old says, don't start it to begin with. Again, very insightful. This 16-year-old says, slowly stop and replace nicotine with other habits like chewing gum or ice. Distract yourself. Nicotine withdrawals are mostly mental, but if it persists, seek professional help. Question 7 and final question. How can the teenage vaping problem be addressed or solved moving forward?
Have programs to help with this stuff, because I know kids in high school already are addicts to this. So if you have like programs that might help.
This 19-year-old says, widespread research and awareness, prevention programs like other drug and alcohol programs. This 25-year-old says, promoting the health risks will help people stop when they get older, but high school students and younger kids will still try it. This 23-year-old says, educate younger kids about the health risks and death rates of those who are habitual vapers. And lastly, this 11-year-old says, the thing that stopped me was that my teachers showed me how it affects people's lungs. I'm afraid to try it again. Now that we've heard from people of different age groups about their experiences and opinions on vaping, let's hear from an expert on the effects of vaping, Dr. Katina Nicolacakis, a pulmonologist at the Cleveland Clinic.
I'm here to talk to you about vaping. So let's be honest. I run the risk of sounding like your mom or grandma or yaya. And I understand that completely. Let's just agree that I'm not speaking to you as a relative. I'm speaking to you as a pulmonologist or a lung specialist. I know that you know a whole lot about vaping, and you could probably teach the adults in your life a whole lot about the subject. I'm here to give you the facts so that you can make the best decisions about your own health. So let's get started. Hello, I am Dr. Katina Nicolacakis, and I am a pulmonologist or lung specialist from Cleveland, Ohio. There are many types of electronic cigarettes. As you know, they are also called e-cigs or vapes. Some look like cigarettes, some look more like a pen, and others look like some sort of tech device or a thumb drive. E-cigs are a battery-powered device that heats a liquid, which then produces an aerosol cloud. The most popular brands of vapes are the Juul. Juuls look like a thumb drive and are rechargeable by plugging into a USB. What you should know is that vapes produce an aerosol cloud of chemicals and not just water vapor. But more on that in a minute. The first fact you need to know is that 99% of all vapes contain nicotine. And why is that important? Nicotine is a highly addictive chemical that, when inhaled, goes directly to your brain. The issue is that your brain is still developing till about the age of 25 years old. And when nicotine is inhaled, your brain is affected in many ways. It makes you feel good. It makes you crave more and more of that good feeling. The problem is that for a developing brain, it actually interferes with learning, creating memories, and also with attention and mood. Once you are used to the effects of nicotine, your developing brain wants more and more nicotine. Nicotine also makes it easier for you to become addicted to other drugs like cocaine and meth. So how much nicotine is in each pod? Well, each Juul pod has about the same amount of nicotine as one pack of cigarettes. And since 2014, teens use vapes more than any other form of tobacco, including cigarettes. Just last year, more than 5 million teens admitted to using vapes in the last month. Next fact. Remember, the aerosol is not water vapor. It is filled with chemicals like heavy metals and flavorings, as well as formaldehyde, which we know causes cancer, and acrolein, which is actually used as a weed killer and can cause irreversible lung damage. So, What are the health risks of vapes? As we mentioned already, nicotine addiction impairs learning, attention, and memory. In addition, there are possible long-term effects to your lungs, for example, emphysema and pulmonary fibrosis, as well as cancer and heart disease, or even death. We are also seeing that e-cigs may be associated with increased risk of infections such as bacterial pneumonia, as well as COVID-19. What we have also seen in the last year is a severe acute inflammation in the lungs, which has led to many hospital admissions and a new disease. E-volley, or e-cigarette or vaping product-associated lung injury. What is this? It's a new disease which was first seen in 2019. It led to inflammation in the lungs with impaired ability to absorb oxygen and even respiratory failure. This affected many people and led to over 2,800 hospitalizations and was seen in all 50 states. It also led to 68 deaths. The median age of those who died was 24 years old, and the youngest death was in a 13-year-old. After a lot of investigation, we found out that it was the additive vitamin E acetate which caused this inflammation. This is used in some THC-containing vaping products and led to the inflammation. Vitamin E is a supplement, and it is safe when you eat it or use it in lotions for your skin. It is not safe to be inhaled. Thankfully, we know this now, and it can be avoided. So what are the facts? Vapes contain nicotine. Nicotine is highly addictive to developing brains. Nicotine interferes with learning, attention, and memory. Nicotine also makes it easier for you to be addicted to other drugs. Teens who use vapes are more likely to smoke cigarettes later. Vapes create an aerosol of chemicals, not a water vapor. And vaping poses a health risk to you. I hope knowing these facts will help you make better choices about your health. If you'd like more information or are interested in quitting, there's plenty of help. Thanks for listening.